Hi, welcome to this short introduction to my hobby project Plantarium. It's a web app that lets you create 3D plants. So let's just jump into it. So the interface, you can see on the right side we have the node tree. If you're not familiar with how node systems work, on the top right there's like a small question mark. And under tutorials you can find the node basics, which is a short introduction to like a general model how nodes work. Here you can see the node tree, which lets you define how your plant is going to look. And on the left side you can see the 3D view, which with the final 3D model of the plant. Let's start the node intermediate tutorial. Alright. Yes, let's go. First let's make sure that we start with a clean project. Alright, on the top left you have the project manager, which is where you can see like all the projects you are working on, and if you click on one of them you can open it. And if you click new, it creates a new project. Alright, done. You should see a single stem on the left side and 2 nodes on the right side. Yep. Let's try and create a simple plant. We start by rotating the stem. Alright. You can add nodes. First of all, you can click on nodes and drag them around. And you can change the view by scrolling. And if you want to pan, you can click into the empty space and drag your mouse. Let's create a new rotate node by pressing... You can either press Shift A on the keyboard, or you can right click. Let's add a new rotate node and drag it onto the connection. You can see the connection gets highlighted, and when I let go of the mouse it connects the node in between the other 2 nodes. Done. Alright. This is very close. Alright. Right. Press on the keyboard. If you press the question mark on the keyboard, you can see your cursor changes, and if you hover over nodes, it gives you like a short explanation of, if you hover over the title, of how generally what the node does, and if you hover over individual settings, you can see like some more details. If you press escape, you exit that mode. Right, disable spread and increase the value to around 0.6. Sometimes if you like super zoomed out, it's a bit hard to like type in small values, so you can either zoom in, then you have like some more fine control, or you can click and type in the value directly. Done. Alright, increase the amount. Yep. We don't see anything because all the stems get created in the same point and then rotate the same, so they're all inside each other. Right. Let's create a new rotate node on the right here. We can see it's a bit, the space is a bit tight, so you can press Control on the keyboard and click and drag, and you can see it sort of drags a window and you can select nodes. And then we can move them to the left. Alright, if there's another way, we can add a node. You can see if we hover over the output, it gets sort of highlighted. And if we press Control and then drag out and let go, you can see a menu pops up, and this shows all the nodes which you can connect to the output of this nodes. So let's click rotate, and it created the new node. And if you want to connect to nodes, you can either click on the output and drag it to the other one, or you can select both by pressing Shift on the keyboard and hit C for connect. That connects them as well. Alright, set the axis to Y, spread is on, and increase the angle. Now we can see that the stems we created here are rotated, and if we put it to like 100% all the way to the right, they get spread around evenly. Alright. Let's wait for the helicopter to pass. Alright. Now you should see all the steps. Redo. Done. That kind of looks like a plant, I guess. Right, let's drag this node over here a bit. If another way, I really like to keep my nodes like aligned. And if you drag a node around and you press Control while dragging, you can see it sort of snaps to a grid. And if you press Shift, it gets like anchored to like axes. So if you want to organize, that is super helpful. So let's organize them a bit. Let's create a gravity node and drag it onto here. Right, we can see now the gravity gets applied. Done. For the final, let's drag them around a bit. Alright, let's create a leaf node and drag it onto here. And now you can see we have some leaves and we can control, of course, the size of them and the lowest leaves. Another thing, you can see some of the nodes have like this small icon on the top. That means there are some additional settings you can access. If we click on it, it sort of expands. And if you want to see one of them for like long, you can press the check mark on the right, and if you let go, click again, you can see it's still there. So, for example, if we want to control the highest and the lowest leaf, we can like set them to somewhere in the middle there. Alright, let's reset that again. Yeah, that's, I think, yeah, did that. So, that's the tutorial done. There are some more advanced things I like to share. For example, you can see on the bottom right you have like a legend of all node types you have. So for example, you can see like the green one is a plant, a white one is a number. And for all white sockets, you can create parameters, which is sort of interesting. So for example, let's create a parameter with a value of 0.3 and connect it to the size. And you can see nothing changed because the value is 0.3. But if we increase the variation, there's some randomness which gets added to each leaf, which is super handy for some more organic stuff. Alright, another way is we can use a random node, which does essentially the same but lets you define the numbers in a little bit different way. Which, I mean, it's sort of self-explanatory. It creates a random value between the min and the max. So if we put there, we can see we get some super huge leaves because, okay, let's create a less like this, yeah. And one last thing I would like to show you is the curve node. There is internally, there is like a concept of alpha. So each stem has an alpha which begins at 0 at the bottom and ends at 1 at the top. And you can access that alpha to drive other parameters. For example, and the curve node outputs this alpha. Now, right now you can see that it's a bit huge, so we can add a math node and multiply it by like some value. And now it's a bit more. So now if we click here, we can define sort of like a profile. So if you wanted to define a custom profile of how the leaves look along the stem, you could do it with a curve node. Alright, another super useful node. Another tip is if you want to delete a node, for example this leave node, but don't want to delete the connection, you can press Ctrl X on the keyboard, and then the connection is kept, but the node is deleted. Let's create a branch node here. We can see some branches get added. And just by building up this node tree, you can define more and more complex plans. For example, like this. Yeah. Another thing, let's get over to the projects. If you wanted to export your model, you can click on the export button, and you can either download, which is like it downloads the project file so you can share it with other people, or you could download an OBJ. Click on that, and then you have just like a 3D model which you can import in every major like 3D modeling software. Alright, one last thing is like the origin. If we see we can define it, and if we look at the bottom we see this type is a vec3, so a vector with 3 components. And let's clean up the node tree over here a bit. Of course we can connect parameters here if we wanted to distribute like the stems along the x-axis a bit randomly, or if you wanted to distribute them along the y, the same thing. And if you wanted the distribution evenly, you could get a number and connect it to the variation and put in like, I don't know, and then it gets distributed like this, just to show you how powerful node systems can be. Alright, I think there are a few other nodes which are super cool. The break node is nice, it lets you randomly break off branches. The split node is super nice. And if you want to explore some pre-made projects, you can click on import on the project manager. And there are 3 ways. Either you can upload a project file, or here are some predefined examples. And if you click on import, they get imported into your view. Yeah, I think that's it. Please enjoy, have some fun with it. If you have any feedback, any questions, or maybe if you've encountered a bug, there is a bug report feature where you can describe your bug and I can check it out. Or if you have an idea, you can click on submit idea. And if you want to see the source code, it's all open source. You can click on the GitHub link and there you can access the source code. Or you can see a changelog of things changed. Thank you so much for watching, hope you have fun, and see you.